I got this thought, right? When I was a kid, I played Plants vs. Zombies quite a lot. I think I watched like Nintendo Capri Sun play it, and then I was like, holy crap, this game is awesome. And to be fair, the game is awesome. But when I was a kid, I used to find the game extremely difficult. I don't know if I beat the game. I think I did. I think I did because I distinctly remember the rooftop level. However, maybe I'm just remembering that from watching someone else play it, like Nintendo Capri Sun. But I remember playing the game. I remember thinking it was really hard. And it's not that hard of a game. The nighttime levels, they would probably still give me some trouble in 2024. But the game is not hugely difficult. I think part of the reason that I found the game so hard is I tried to make every level into a pattern, like a symmetrical repeating pattern of the 5 lanes, right? And it's a bad way to play the game because the zombies are not in a perfectly symmetrical pattern. You have to, to reference Nintendo Capri Sun, you have to use temporary solutions to permanent problems, right? And I was pretty resistant to that. I was pretty resistant to building up my base in response to the zombies rather than building it up and just designing something that perfectly deals with all the zombies as soon as they get there. And like the game's easy enough that you can get away with playing in a way that's symmetrical and perfect every time, but it does make the game more difficult because the easiest way to play it is just to respond to the zombies when they show up. And I thought, okay, well, let's look at other tower defense games that I've played. So I looked at Bloons Tower Defense, because I'm not a huge tower defense fan, so I haven't played many of them. I've played this game, I've played Bloons Tower Defense, and I've played the Battle Cats, but we'll talk about that in the episode where I actually play it. And I thought, okay, why do I not try to make symmetric designs with Bloons TD6? And the answer is just because the maps aren't symmetric. But I think there's a deeper level to it, because some of the maps are pretty close to it. I think it's because this is grid-based. That I want to make it symmetric, because it's actually possible. Bloons Tower Defense is more freeform. It's way more difficult to have things be precisely X units away from each other, right? And there's no way to tell other than the number of pixels on the screen. I mean, it would be ridiculous to try and be that meticulous about your placement of towers in the game. And so I think that the problem I was having is just that the game kind of encourages symmetry because it's so possible. Like it's not possible in Bloons Tower Defense really to make a so I got to thinking about it and I was like, okay, what is similar to this dilemma where like you have a grid-based thing and you have a non-grid-based thing, and it encourages you to use those things differently, even though those things are similar. In this case, it's that this game is similar to Bloons Tower Defense because they're both tower defense games. Well, your desktop, right? Your computer desktop is by default grid-based if you're on a Windows PC, and it doesn't have to be. You can turn off grid snapping and you can have a more messy desktop. And I was thinking, psychologically, is it better to have a more messy desktop? And I don't have the answer to that question. It's just something I was thinking about, is like, a lot of people use their desktop just to find the things that they want access to immediately. So like, you might have a desktop that has shortcuts to all of your most used apps. That's kind of what the taskbar is intended for. This is why I don't have a desktop. My desktop is blank. I don't have any desktop icons. Because I just have pictures of, like, I have my desktop wallpaper. I actually want to see it. I actually want to see my desktop wallpaper. So I have it blank so that I can see my desktop wallpaper. And basically, and this is something, by the way, this layout here is something I would never have done when I was a kid. Having the sunflowers close to the front is like a huge no-no, but actually it's not that bad, right? Like, especially for these early levels, but in general it's not that bad to have them be that close. But in any case, I don't have a desktop, but if I did, maybe, just maybe, I would make it not grid snap. Because the way that your desktop is generally meant to be used, and there's a, you know, I say meant to be used because it doesn't matter, right? Oh, this is the walnut bowling part. I love this. I completely forgot about it, but I do like it. The way it's generally meant to be used is it's supposed to actually be a desktop of what you're working on currently. So you'll have your active, like, actively being worked on files are there, but like shortcuts and stuff, those would go in your taskbar. And you have the folders of stuff that you're, you know, accessing frequently because you're working on them. It's a desktop, much in the sense that if you worked in like Santa's work, I don't know why I mentioned Santa, but whatever. If you worked in Santa's workshop, you're an elf working in Santa's workshop, you would have a desktop with all of the toy parts and stuff. And all of the fabrics for all of the toys and stuff. Again, not sure why Santa came to mind, but it did, so, you know, we'll roll with it. And so psychologically, like, intentionally turning off grid snapping and having a more messy desktop on purpose, might actually make, like, it might encourage you psychologically to use it the way that it's intended for. Now, the next question is, does this intended purpose of having a desktop be stuff that you're actively working on, does that intended purpose, you know, is that actually better for your workflow? Well, that'll depend on the person, and that'll also depend on the work that you're doing. But I thought it was an interesting idea to, like, specifically have a more messy desktop and see if that affects your workflow. I will not be trying it because I don't use my desktop. I use File Explorer to access files, and I use my taskbar to access, you know, whatever I need to access. I don't need a desktop, but for people who use desktops, try it. Like, try this idea out and get back to me in the comments. Like, I'm genuinely curious. I just don't want to do the research myself. I might be suggesting this idea to some of my IRL friends as well, because I think it could be pretty interesting, particularly since I'm doing a CS degree. I know a lot of people who are developers, so they will be actively working on stuff. I know that the average, like, person probably isn't using a computer. Well, actually, that's a good question. Does the average person do work on a computer? I guess in, like, cities, yeah, the average city job actually does have you doing, like, word processing or, like, stuff like that. People are doing work on their computers. It's not just developers. It's kind of interesting to think about, because, like, I'm sure the further you go out from cities, like, the fewer people are actually using computers for their work. But I don't know. It's interesting to think about. But yeah, like, I mean, it was just an idea. I don't know. I don't know how good of an idea it is. And I have a lot of projects that I'm, like, working on just randomly. Not usually big projects. I just mean, like, I mean, Melon Keeper Gold is a project, right? But I also, like, do various other things. And I wonder if having a desktop would help me to, I don't know. I don't think it would. I think the system I use currently, where I just put shit in folders and use File Explorer to find them, I think that works just fine, but I don't know. Okay, we're gonna put the potato mine here to get rid of the vaulting power, and then I think the pea shooter will deal with it soon enough, but if not, we'll just add another one. Damn, they eat the plants pretty fast. I should have accounted for that, but I didn't. Guys. Oh, and that's not even in front of the pea shooter. Okay, yeah. This is disastrous. This is disastrous. Okay. Okay, so this is an example of, like, I tried to react to the zombies instead of coming up with a plan ahead of time, and it didn't work because I came up with a bad plan. So that's, you know, that's something to learn from. But we've got the lifeline of the lawnmowers, so we're fine for now. Try to plant at least 3 sunflowers. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Having the sunflowers die is really not ideal. Okay, we're gonna get rid of the vault once again. It also makes it run slower, which is ideal. Give it a walnut to chew on. Perfect. This is a really fun game. And it's got so much content in it. I was surprised, but there's quite a few levels, and there's also mini-games and stuff. I kind of forgot about the mini-games because I don't think any of them are particularly notable. If they are notable, then I haven't noted them. But like, they exist. I think it's cool that they exist. Why did I put the walnut there? The guy's dead. Whatever. I think we're close enough to the end of the level that I probably shouldn't be planting more sunflowers. Although, can I just say, sunflowers compared to most money-making towers, I think this is like a interesting game design thing. Like, compare this game to other tower defense games. Like, the moneymakers are so much more effective. Like, in Bloons, the banana farms make back their investment after X rounds with Y upgrades, right? But the sunflowers make up the investment so quickly because every time they produce a sun, they produce a quarter of... No, they produce half of what it took to make them. It costs 50 sun to make a sunflower, and you get 25 back for every sun they produce, and they produce them quickly. It's one of the reasons the night level's so hard, because you don't get the sunflowers as much. You have to use the sun shrooms, which give you like 25 sun, and it's just crap, right? I'd rather stall this guy and get more sun than immediately put a pea shooter down, because these I think part of the reason I was struggling last round is because I didn't have enough guys, and I think I can get more guys, more plants, if I do this. But that's just a theory. Oh, I'm so sad. I didn't know when I was going to talk about this, but I am so sad that MatPat's retiring. I know MatPat's not a perfect guy. I know he's had his controversies in the past on YouTube, but man, what a formative part of my childhood watching all those FNAF theories was. It's bittersweet. And then I saw that Rhett and Link put up that video. It's a troll, by the way. If you see the Rhett and Link video where they're like, we're done, they're not actually quitting. I thought they were. I was like, holy shit, these guys have made more content than I could ever watch in one lifetime. I'm not sitting through every GMM episode. At one point I had, because I started watching GMM when it was like season 2 or season 3 of GMM, and at that point it was very possible to catch up. At this point there's so much GMM that going through that would probably make me hate them. Because Jesus, there is a lot of GMM in the world. But I was sad to find out that MatPat quit, and then I saw that Rhett and Link uploaded a video called We're Done, and I was like, no way, right? I mean, people talking about like, oh, all these YouTubers quitting, like Tom Scott and stuff, but like, It's not actually that many people. It's a small number of creators because there's just a huge number of creators, like statistically. Some of them are going to retire and that's fine. Some of them are, you know, very successful and also getting to an age where why would they choose to work if they don't have to, right? Like MatPat's 37 and has a kid. I do not blame him at all for not wanting to work. And because he has the option not to, like, it's only natural that he's retiring. It would be more strange if a bunch of young creators were retiring. You know, but it's generally people who have been on the platform for so long, right? So I don't think we should be surprised at all by the fact that it's happening. But I don't know. Melonkeeper Gold will retire after I've done the whole year. You've at least got me that long. I don't know what the next step is for Melonkeeper Gold, but it's got to end at some point, right? But yeah, I think having all the sun up early was a very strong plan because now we're just, you know, destroying these levels. I do want to put down some ice flowers. These guys are pretty cool. I'm going to try to protect them though because they are pretty expensive. Also, yeah, this zombie avatar, you get to make it yourself. I was going to make Gojo, which is why I gave him white hair and like sunglasses. But then I saw there's a pirate hat, so I was like, oh, I guess I'm giving him that because of, you know, One Piece. I'm just gonna get rid of that immediately because this zombie is, you know, like tanking all of this damage, which means the Vaulter would have gotten over. Because even though I think we could have taken out the Vaulter pretty early, it wasn't gonna happen because of that relationship between the towers there. It is interesting, the zombies like block shots for other zombies, but it only works to like, I don't know. Game's interesting. I know they made a Plants vs Zombies 2, and it was like a mobile game with a bunch of microtransactions, which is why nobody played it. I wonder if it's any good. I remember playing Garden Warfare. That game was really cool. That game was actually cool. A huge departure from what, at that point, Plants vs Zombies was. I know that at this point, Plants vs Zombies is Garden Warfare. Like, Garden Warfare is by far the most popular Plants vs Zombies thing. I don't know if they've made a PvZ 3. I've never heard of a Plants vs Zombies 3. I'm gonna look it up right now because I think we've basically won this level. Plants vs Zombies 3. It is a thing? Yeah, it is. Welcome to Zomburbia. It's getting a global launch in 2024. Huh. Well, there you go. Wait. I'm seeing an app called Plants vs Zombies 3, so it must be out already. Huh. Okay, it is out. The art style's completely new. Huh. Interesting. In any case, interesting. Yeah, I don't know if Plants vs Zombies 2 is good. I didn't play it. I just know it had, like, microtransactions, and that was pretty off-putting. I imagine speedrunning this game would be really interesting, because you can kill the zombies faster by using, like, cherry bombs and stuff. But does that actually advance the, like, level faster? I don't know. I don't know if that's how it works. Well, that's the video.